Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Pink Flavored Giraffe. Today, I'm showing you how I made this super cute bunny overalls. It got a tail! So what you see here are the patterns that I made, and I used an existing overalls that I had, and I copied them. And I added fullness to the bottom, and I added a couple of inches to the bottom as well, so that I can make a casing for the elastic, because I want it to be super bunchy like a bunny butt. This is a really simple pattern, so I didn't make any notches or anything like that, because it's basically just lining it up. The pattern for the pocket is two pieces, or two parts, and this is the second part. You have to cut the pocket hole out of the pocket pattern. Because I'm lazy and didn't want to make a second pattern. Cats were very involved in the process. The straps were just ripped after measuring, I think, about 4 inches. I pin a lot because I don't like things moving. Make sure you clip those corners. I use a paintbrush to flip the corners out. The pinning right now is so that I can run it through an iron and I don't burn my fingers. This is me attaching the pocket guards. Imagine these in fur. I'm using a different fabric for the pockets to cut down on bulk. I need to widen a bobbin. I slowed it down for you guys so you can share my pain. You're welcome. Front, back, sew up the crotch, whee! All of my seams are about 1/2 inch because that's just what I'm used to. I didn't learn on printed patterns, I learned on recreating the wheel each time you sewed. So they told, well, in my school they told us 1/2 inch was the normal, which is not true. On the mock-up I did a lot of top stitching, but in the final I didn't do a lot of top stitching because fur hates top stitching. Hates it. These are the pockets. So you sew around the holes first, then you understitch so that it lays under. I did do the understitching in the final costume because it helps the fur to stay where it needs to be rather than the pocket fabric popping out. Decided to make the stitching red so you guys could see it at the end. Gather it up. Put that elastic in. Safety pins work so much better than anything that I have found. Gonna try it on. Kinda looks like a diaper. But I'm using fur, so it's not gonna look as diapery. It's gonna look more like a fuzzy bunny bottom. This fabric. This is the fabric that inspired the entire costume. And yet, it is too small. I don't have enough. So, fun little thing that I figured out with laying out patterns is because I don't want to buy a ton of the fur that I need, because the fur that I had is not enough. So I have this fun little grid cardboard that I found at Goodwill. You can find it at Joann's. Obviously you'll spend more than a couple of dollars on it. But I bought it at a per pound Goodwill, so I got it for like pennies. But yeah, lay it out on a grid that's 1 by 1 inch, and then you can see exactly how much fabric you need. So I need 39 inches of fabric because I looked online and the fake fur is 58 inches. It's like 57, 58 inches. And so I took 57, or I think I did 58, or I averaged them, and then I found the average, how much it would be if you were to fold it over. And that's what the layout you see right here is, them laid out as if they were on folded fabric. The fold would be over there, the selvage would be over here, and that way I'm not gonna have to waste money on buying extra fur. I will have to add like a few more inches so I can do the straps, because I completely forgot about those. Good thing I did this video. Buying that tomorrow and finishing it tomorrow. Why rest when you can sew? The next day. Where are we, guys? Okay, guys, which one do you think was good? Do you like the white or the gray? Liam, what do you think?
Gray.
Yeah, Willow, what do you think? Which one?
I like the white.
You like the white?
Two people like the
Rowan,
gray.
which one do you like?
I like gray.
You like gray? My 6-year-old really liked the fabric, so we decided to go with the gray. And I laid it out completely flat with the fur underneath of the backing. And I'm lining up all of the grain lines using my ruler, because that's very, very important when you're working with furs, to make sure that you have the grain line correct. Because if you don't, then you're gonna have hair sticking out in weird angles. It's just gonna be annoying. And I also made So I completed the pattern for the bib of the overalls because originally I had it on a fold, which you can't do that with fur, I forgot. So I had to make a second pattern for that and continue it as if it was a full piece rather than on a fold. So basically I doubled the pattern. And I'm using a permanent marker to mark the patterns on the fur, because for fur you have to cut it out differently. You can't just use scissors. I mean, you can, but you're gonna have a gigantic mess all over your bedroom or wherever you're working. And when you do patterns and you only have one of them and you didn't mark the other side, the fun trick is to fold along the grain line so that you can have a grain line on the back of the pattern, and then you can line that up, and then you don't have to retrace the pattern or draw another grain line. Make sure you're tracing both of the sides. So one side, flip it over, trace the other side. This is the second cat. They were very involved. They loved this fabric. Probably because it looked like them. So this is the way that I have learned to cut fur. This is the most dull X-Acto blade, so I would suggest getting a much sharper one. But you're only cutting the backing. You are not cutting the fibers of the fur, just the backing. It'll cut down on the amount of hair that you have flying around the room. These are the pockets being sewn on to the front of the pants part. You can see that since it's on grain, the middle seam basically disappears. It is super soft. So soft. So soft. See this line? This will come out if you take a brush and you just brush it down. Do not iron fur. Fake fur will burn and sizzle and melt. These are the pocket guards. They are super fluffy. The only time fur will top stitch is if you have a different fabric underneath. Those are the straps. This is the back, and the bib of the overalls cut out. And the bib has lining. You need a mask for this because it gets everywhere. I was feeling like phantom hairs on my nose, phantom hairs all over my face. It was driving me insane. So I had a bunch of surgical masks left over from years ago, and so I was so much happier when I put it on. This is the front, but it is sewn to the back. I waited for the bib top until I was done sewing the sides up. All of the places I top stitched in the muslin part, I whip stitched in the final. This is the needle I used. It's a doll needle. It is very long. It's a little thick, but because it's not a beading needle. You need it long enough and thick enough to handle the fabric and to go through and not lose it. This fur is very thick and you can lose things in it quite easily. So you have to be careful with your pins, you have to be careful with your needles, you have to make sure that they're long enough. And what I found out was using one strand of thread worked so much better than two. For some reason, 2 kept getting snagged, so we used 1 and it went through like butter. It was fantastic. And I am doing a super messy whip stitch here, but I did this all around the edges. Anything that had to be, which would normally be, anything that would normally be top stitched, I whip stitched. The closures ended up being diaper snaps because I had a bunch of those left over, and not the best of ideas when you're working with fur. The fur was a lot thicker than I realized, and I didn't have any other regular snaps left because I would have just traded those out for regular snaps, and that would have worked perfectly. So how do you think I did? And tell me all about it in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks again! See you next time.